Hey, Journeys Crossing. It's Brooke from Online Campus. And I just wanted to stop by and say hello and see how you're doing again. And, I've been doing a little research on the effects of a time like this on us just as people because I have never experienced anything like this in my life. Like businesses closed, schools are closed. A lot of life has seemed to kind of stop around us, and it's just really weird. And I'm thinking about all of you and what you may be dealing with right now. And what I found as I've been kind of doing some reading is in a time like this where people are kind of isolated from others, it's not really surprising, but they experience anxiety, anger, their sleep gets disturbed, depression, even post-traumatic stress disorder, which I found really surprising. And I don't know where you are on all that spectrum and what things tend to pop up for you. For me, I would say anger over the situation is something I'm tempted with, and definitely disruptive sleep patterns. I'm struggling with sleeping through the night. But the thing I am thinking about with all of this is that when we experience these things like anxiety or lack of sleep or anger or whatever it is, we have a choice. We have a choice to either identify ourselves either as being one of those things or experiencing one of those things. Like becoming like I am anxiety, or I'm experiencing anxiety. That makes sense. As I was considering this, I was reminded of a section of the Bible that talks about who we are and where we fit in this journey here on earth. In the New Testament of the Bible, there is a book we call Hebrews. And in chapters 11 and 12, the writer of this text reminds us that we are a part of what the writer calls a great cloud of witnesses. Or Eugene Peterson in the Message translation, he says we're a part of a long line of pioneers who blazed the way before us. And starting in chapter 11, we're reminded of a whole list of people throughout the Bible, like Abel, who believed and he brought his best to God, and Enoch, who was taken up to heaven and counted as righteous, and Noah, who built a big boat on dry land by faith, knowing that God would send the flood that he spoke of, and of Abraham, who set off to a land that God would tell him about later, and he became the father of the whole Israelite nation. And because of his faith, he did that. And of Isaac and Jacob and Joseph and Moses and his parents and the Israelites who walked across the split Red Sea on dry land. And they took the walls of Jericho down with God's power. And then in verse 32, in chapter 11 of Hebrews, it says this: "How much more do I need to say? It would take too long to recount the stories of the faith of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and all the prophets. By faith, these people overthrew kingdoms, ruled with justice, and received what God had promised them. They shut the mouths of lions, quenched the flames of fire, and escaped death by the edge of the sword. Their weakness was turned to strength. They became strong in battle and put whole armies to flight. Women received their loved ones back from the dead. But others were tortured, refusing to turn from God in order to be set free. They placed their hope in a better life after the resurrection. Some were jeered at, and their backs were cut open with whips. Others were chained in prisons. Some died by stoning, some were sawed in half, others were killed with the sword. Some went about wearing skins of sheep and goats, destitute and oppressed and mistreated. They were too good for this world, wandering over deserts and mountains, hiding in caves and holes in the ground." And now here is where you and I come in to this journey, and we realize the story that is told here, we're a part of it, and that's where our identity lies. It says, starting in verse 39 of chapter 11, "All these people earned a good reputation because of their faith, yet none of them received all that God had promised." For God had something better in mind for us, so that they would not reach perfection without us. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. So, we're a part of a long line of believers, and this list that is here in Hebrews is not comprehensive. It's just the tip of the iceberg. You and I, if we're followers of Jesus, are part of this huge crowd of witnesses to the faith, and therefore, we should not allow the stress, the anxiety, the worry, the anger that's all wrapped up in this current time become who we are. Yes, we struggle, and things can seem hard, and they can be hard. But who you are as a follower of Jesus is something very different. You're part of this huge family of the faith that has come before you. And God was with them all the way, 100%. So let's work today to keep our eyes on Jesus and allow him to begin to change our perspective on things. Thanks for sharing a few minutes with me today. I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you online on Sunday for those of you who attend Journeys Crossing regularly. And if you don't and you came across this video, you're invited. We'll be live online Sunday at 9:15 and 11:15 at ilovethischurch.com/watch. See you later, guys. Bye.